Anyway, diet in all health matters, no matter what level of problem you have, whether it's tumors, whether it's psoriasis, whether it's systemic pain. Your only way to the road to Wellville, to reaching the land of Oz, is you have to change the chemistry you're bringing in. If people can't get that, then they're going to enjoy the pain and suffering they're in, because you can't keep the same chemistry, believe in the bull crap of disease theories, and live and have a healthy life. That's not synonymous. What's synonymous with a healthy, happy life is eating healthy and happy. Well, what's healthy? Well, what species does the Homo sapien belong to? That'd be a good one. Are we a herbivore? Are we an omnivore? That's omnivores. That's some thought medically. So now we use pig crap. We use all this kind of stuff like that, pig tissues and stuff like that. Why don't we use monkey tissue? Primate tissue. We're 96%, some might argue 97%, the same genetic code. Well, no, we're still omnivores. And primates are omnivores. No, they're not. Primates are not omnivores. They're frugivores. Dogs, hogs, chickens, bears, those are omnivores. And we don't look like any of those either. And how come it is when we go on a good fruit diet, we all get well, we get our health back and everything else? There are some struggles. But looking at the body as a food processor, okay? We look at nature and we see, so let's think about this for a minute. Let me show you this spiritually. You see this? The God world. And I know I've got my curtains open, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to close my curtains, see if there's any reflection here. So hang tight. Now let me do this. There. Maybe that'll be better on us. There. Oh. Thanks. Yep. God world chart. Okay, so this upper portion is what in the Eastern religions is referred to as consciousness. We could use the term awareness. Very difficult to apply a word to something that has no form. That the Christians, I think, aptly put it as omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, meaning there is no place it isn't. It is everywhere, all-powerful, all-knowing, but of course. The problem with understanding this is that we deal in separation here. We deal with me here, you there, me here, drink here. We deal with individual structures. However, everybody wants to go to heaven. Everybody wants to go home to God. The problem is there's no structures where you come from. There's no structures in consciousness. There's no form. So you can't use form to try to attain the formless. You must become formless yourself. Wow, how do you do that? Well, if you're already from that world, then all you have to do is be yourself. All right? So let's break you apart a little bit. All right? And that's how you see how creation is created. So as you come from, as you're broken off as an individual piece of the all, of the one. And you know, everybody talks about oneness of everything and everything's one. You especially see it in spiritual circles. That's because as you work your way back from these lower levels of separation, everything starts merging and becoming one again. Everything comes out of this one awareness, this one tremendous awareness called God, which has no beginning and no end, and there is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. You can't define it. It's everywhere. It's everything. And the best person I get to relate to that is Jalal Rumi, for you Sufi fans. So I got in every atom, every structure. So as you come from the God worlds and you're individualized, your first individualization is called the id, the ego, the etheric body. We just talked about it a little earlier. As Carl Jung's wife aptly put it, the individualization of consciousness. So you're an individualization of this tremendous consciousness. So now, I'm an individual. Now what? You got to be able to play with form. You got to be able to play with duality, because without two energies fluctuating magnetically between itself and interfacing, breaking itself all the way down into the physical world, into chemistry, there's no form. So to have form, you have to have two separate energies. But wait, there's only one energy, God. So it must create the illusion or create a vehicle that takes one energy and makes it into two. And that is, we use the word spirit, the ek, the prana, the life force, to talk about those energies. So now you've got positive and you've got negative energies, these two fluctuating energies. In chemistry, we call one acidic and one base or alkaline, right? These two energies, positive and negative, yin and yang. We try to describe these two energies. The magnetic fluctuation between these two energies creates form. And as you move from the id, the individualized consciousness, you're taking on the universal mind. In other words, you're moving into where individualization is starting to be experienced. They call this, I said earlier, cosmic consciousness, Christ consciousness. This is where the mind, the pure mind, this is why I can think the same thoughts you do. That's why the same day Wright flew a plane, Jenner and Europe flew a plane. I mean, this is why we all share similar thoughts, because we all our minds come from one big universal mind. Holmes wrote volumes of the universal mind, had a lot of experience. Cosmic consciousness, if you've never had it, try to achieve it, because you will, it is the next to the God states, it's the most mnemonic experience you can have in creation. The most ecstasy and joy that you could possibly have. And it's when you start to see everything in form actually comes from one source. At that level, and that's what gives you the ecstasy and joy. Can't talk about it. Woo! So, now we have the causal mind. That's where you have the Akashic record. That's where you have the past and you have the future. That's where you see the time track, as they call it. This is where you start to see magnetic energy now taking form even more. And the form now, you start to see bodies form like your physical body, but more energetically, more breathing like this, more like a mental image, as opposed to a solidified physical body. Now, thought must have something to drive it, because thought is just thought. So what drives thought? And I've brought this up before. Your emotions. The emotions drives thought. How bad do you want it, or how much do you hurt? So emotional, that is another body that you take on. Emotions doesn't come from the mind. The mind has nothing to do at all with emotions. So now you're taking on the emotional body, all wrapped together. All these are wrapped together. Now you're getting into more finer electromagnetic energy. So from the mental world, you have pure magnetic energy. As it comes through the causal world, it starts isolating itself into frequencies more of electromagnetic energy. Still pure energy. As we move into more astral, we're starting to form more chemistry. As we come into this physical world, now we're getting into the sub-nano, nano levels, and now we're beginning to see where we can basically say we're into subatomic. We're into electrons, protons circulating the nucleus, right? And now we're into how the magnetic energy makes itself into chemistry. Now we have the atom, the building blocks of structure, of form here in the physical world. So now we have atoms putting together and forming elements, and then elements coming together forming, substances and compounds, and there's all types of rules to chemistry where you have saturations and all these things that stabilizes chemistry. Because acid and base are magnetically doing this, and you must always have a certain saturation or you would have nothing stable. So there's a lot of things to think about that the Creator had to put together. So now, as we are forming the atom, and now the atom is forming structure, we have foods, we have all these things electrically put together, because we can't just grab an atom and go, ah. Now we can breathe it, and there is another case for breatharian. We'll have that discussion someday about breatharianism and the breathing of the etheric air, of the etheric energy. Tried it.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.